told you, there is a village in Ohio where the mayor has no access to the city building. The fiscal officer is only required to work 98 days a year and makes almost 75 grand in a town of fewer than 400 residents. And the only people who have access to any financial documents are that fiscal officer and her dad, who is her boss. It's happening in Little College Corner. So I went there to find out what's really going on.
A couple miles away from Oxford, nestled against the Indiana border, is the tiny village of College Corner, Ohio. With fewer than 400 residents, you might think nothing happens here.
Running for mayor was never on my agenda.
Molly Kaysen says she was uncomfortable with what was happening inside this tiny building, the village government office, so she ran for mayor last November and won. And in the 4 months she's been in office, the mayor can't unlock the door to the village office.
So when you say locked out, do you mean literally locked out?
Literally locked out.
Now, is it normal for the mayor not to have access to this place?
I wouldn't think so.
The mayor does not have a key to the building.
No.
Well, that's a little nuts.
Randy Freaking, a retired attorney, was shocked at this news. He worked as a village attorney and specialized in employment law. Kaysen and 2 new council members have other big concerns in tiny College Corner. With fewer than 400 residents, the village only has 1 full-time employee, the fiscal officer, Jennifer Woods. And this is the village administrator, Mike Sims. He's a volunteer and Jennifer Woods' dad.
Does that set off alarm bells to you?
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like they're the only 2 that have the power to everything. So they're the only 2 that have access to the bank accounts. They're the only 2 that can speak to the contractors. They're the only ones that can talk to the attorney. What is the need for just the 2 of them to have all the power?
That power was cemented just a couple of days before the new mayor and council members were sworn in. A special meeting was called, which made Woods and Sims the only 2 with the power to effectively do anything in the village.
They made sure nobody had access to the village attorney except father, daughter, fiscal officer, and administrator. Why? What are you hiding? What don't you want the council members that should have access to that attorney to know?
I mean, we have called and called and called and called.
The mayor claims she asked for financial records and wasn't given them until Butler County prosecutor Mike Moser made a call for her.
So it took a prosecutor getting involved
In order to get the records, yes.
That's insane. All of these things are public records. So certainly the council members should be entitled to see all of these things. The mayor, the council members ought to have access to the records, ought to have access to the office. Somebody has to do oversight. So, I mean, why in the world would you make that the rule? Unless you're trying to hide something.
There was another special meeting held days before the new members were sworn in to approve an employment contract for the fiscal officer, Jennifer Woods. The contract lists her pay at more than $72,000 a year, gives her 30 days of vacation and 120 sick days, 15 more next year. And she's not required to hold any office hours.
In 38 years of practicing employment law, I never saw a contract with 120 sick days per year, paid sick days.
This is a very generous.
It's a very generous contract.
If she wanted to, she would not have to work any more than 9,800 days.
I believe that's the correct calculation.
I'm curious as to why you had to hold a December 29th meeting to change how the village is run.
So I went to the village meeting to try to talk to the village administrator.
And as a village administrator, sir, can you tell me why the mayor doesn't have access to this building?
The fiscal officer.
You have a wonderful, when I say wonderful, wonderful employment agreement. Could we talk about that, please? May I speak with
and any council members about these issues.
Are you comfortable with the fact that this village office isn't open?
I tried multiple times to talk to every council member, Mike Sims and Jennifer Woods, to no avail, leaving me and the newest elected members of this little village's council asking more and more questions.
I hope that there is nothing going on. I hope that everything's right. But from the looks of it, it doesn't look that way.
One of the new council members filed a lawsuit to get financial documents. She tells me she got the documents she wanted at 1 a.m. on the day that mediation began this week.